Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery. And you will save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com. And those of you who use the QR code or the link provided on Facebook and YouTube to support the broadcast, we thank all of you for your commitment and for your support as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. And I want to remind all of our listeners and viewers, we are in the midst of our May FijiWater.com sponsored promo, which means that you go to our internet radio station, WKAPFaith.com, and the first three songs you hear at 12 noon p.m. Eastern Daylight Time or at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, list those songs, text them along with your name and your email address to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. One of our listeners and viewers will be selected to win a case of Fiji Water from FijiWater.com. And we will be running this promo throughout the year. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you get in on the opportunity to receive a case of Fiji Water from FijiWater.com. And we want you to stay connected with us. So tune in every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year at WKAP Faith Empowerment Radio at WKAPFaith.com. And I want to announce to all of our listeners and viewers that we also are about to launch a 1-hour broadcast. You asked for it, you finally are going to get it. You've been asking for several years now if we would take the broadcast to a 1-hour show. It's been a process to get here, to be able to do a 1-hour show. So we're going to be doing that. That will be from 12 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So, just so you know, you've asked for it, you got it. We are going to be doing it. I will announce the date that we will launch the 1-hour broadcast. And from then on, we will be doing a 1-hour broadcast at least. We'll see where God takes us from there. But right now, we're going to be doing a 1-hour broadcast launch, and we will keep you informed on the date for that. So, I'm going to address a communication from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you want to get married and have a large family. However, you're 30 years of age and you just started dating someone. So your concern is you want to have a large family, which means you feel like, and you're right, it's going to require you to do some back-to-back pregnancies. We've got to really examine what that means for you. So I want to walk you through this. First of all, you said you just started dating someone. Okay. But the very first thing you have to do is you have to be more specific. You want to get married. What's that time frame look like for you? You want to have children, and you want to have a large family. So what's that time frame look like for you? And you just started dating someone. So have you had that discussion with him? Because one of the things you both are going to have to agree on, this is what the Bible, and this is going to take me into some other topics that have been flooding our communication platforms. Listen, you want to have a conversation so that you both can walk in agreement. You can be equally yoked. That doesn't mean, and this is why I mentioned this is going to take me into another communication. Let's be clear on this. That doesn't mean being equally yoked and walking together in agreement doesn't mean that you have to be, that you can't walk behind the man, that you can't allow the man to lead. We've got a misconception in society that, it should be 50-50. You walk side by side. You only walk side by side when you're holding hands. But and I'm going to take us all through this because this is real important. The marriage is 50-50. No, it's not. Society has made us believe that these things are the right way to do things, and only those who buy into it suffer. So we've got to really examine what's being done right now in our society. But having said that, you want to get married, you've got to be more specific. So that means that anyone you date, this is what I need you to understand. You can no longer date for let me rephrase that. You can no longer date for entertainment. You can no longer date just for the sake of dating. Your dates have to be focused on a mission. And that mission is, I want to get married and I want to have a large family. And how do you get there? You don't get there by dating men and, waiting 90 days to discuss marriage, waiting for 6 months because you don't want to put in. No, that's not what you do. You have conversations. This is the reason that I've been saying to men and women, if you're going to date someone, the very first thing you should do is go to church 3 consecutive Sundays together at his church if he has a relationship with the Lord. If he doesn't have a relationship with the Lord, but he knows who he is, then take him to your church. Both of you need to be getting fed, and both of you need to understand what you're getting fed. And then out to lunch or brunch, whatever you want to call it, after service. You should do that 3 consecutive Sundays. You got to know if there's consistency. You got to have these conversations. So the first week, the first Sunday shouldn't be about, where you like to go out, where you like to travel, what you like to do. It has nothing to do with building a great quality of life. That's just entertainment. That's just fun. Or at least perceived to be fun. You need to ask the questions. And you know what? I'm going to take some time and walk through this today. Let me tell you what a first date should look like. Because I've shared some nuggets with all of you, some pearls with all of you about going to church and out to lunch and then having conversations, 7-year plan, 14-year plan, 21-year plan. Let me tell you what they should look like. So you go to church, you listen attentively. You're not there to have a discussion. You're there to listen to either what he's being taught or what you're being taught, and he can decide if that's what he wants to be taught also. Because what I mean by that is it needs to be a Bible teaching church. Now, having said that, when you go out to lunch after service, the first question should be, the very first question should be, what for the ladies, what's your plan for the next 7 years? What's your 7-year plan? That should be your first question. And guys, you should be ready to describe your 7-year plan. You should say, because you have to take the lead, you should say, I would like to discuss with you my 7-year plan. And ladies, if you should have a 7-year plan for your goals personally and professionally, so you can listen to his 7-year plan and then share with him what your 7-year plan is so that he can determine whether or not those two plans can be merged together. And ladies, you will know if his plan is going to cover your plan or if it's going to dismantle your plan. So your 7-year plan discussion should be the very first thing. That should take you through lunch for the first Sunday. Now, if you decide that you're enjoying each other's company and you want to sit through brunch and talk a little more, then the next conversation should be about family history, health history, physical and mental health. You know, we all have some crazy relatives, but are they clinically crazy or are they just behaviorally crazy? You know, you can talk about those things, you can laugh about those things. What's been your life experience? What was your life like growing up? Are your parents still married? How many siblings do you have? You know, you don't have to spend time discussing whether or not you get along with your siblings, because those are personality dynamics. But how many siblings do you have? Were you raised around other people? You know, or were you raised by wolves? You need to know those things. The problem is we don't spend enough time talking about real issues. We spend time on dates talking about dating. We spend time on dates talking about entertainment. We spend time on dates talking about perceived fun. And we spend time on dates talking about the game, playing the game. You know, how many women have you been dating? How many men have you been dating? You know, we don't talk about the real life issues that will lead to a better quality of life. Okay, having said that, the next Sunday, if one of you don't show up, that is your sign. That's your sign from God. No consistency. Now, after service, out to lunch, let's discuss the 14-year plan. So, and this is where you start getting more into life experience. You know, what was your life like as a child? What were the things that you enjoyed, missed, or were shut out of? You can discuss those things, because then you get an understanding of each other's emotional well-being. But that should be the next. Talk about the 14-year plan and then discuss those things. You know, you gotta get a clear understanding of what you're getting into. And for our listener and viewer and then I'll talk about the 21-year plan in a moment. You wanna get married, you gotta be specific about that. What time frame are you looking at? You said you're 30 years old now and you just started dating someone. What time frame are you looking at? You don't even have an idea of that if you haven't done the steps I just talked about, the 7-year plan, the 14-year plan, the family dynamics, and the life issues, the life experiences, lifestyle. And then the third week, what's your 21-year plan? Now, you should have a clear picture of what time frame you want to get married. Is it 31? Is it 32? You know, you should have a better idea of and be able to be specific about how many children you want to have. You say you want to have a large family. You know, are you going to get started right away? Are you going to have one at 30? Are you going to have one at 34? You know, the reason I chose that is because, you know, if you're going to get pregnant again at 34, that means you only have one in college at a time. You got to plan all these things out. And then you got to be okay with whatever God does to adjust the plan. But you got to have a plan. Write the vision, make it plain. So now, having said that, the third time should be the 21-year plan. Because if you're going to get married and have a large family, you want to know that your family is going to be stable and sustainable for at least the next 21 years. Then you can start once you're married, you can start working on your 28-year plan, your 35-year plan, your 42-year plan. This is what life is really all about. Life is not fun and games. It's serious. Life is serious. The problem is many of us don't find that out until it's too late. We need to know that before it's too late. So I'm going to encourage you to be more specific about what you desire to accomplish. And have a conversation with this guy. Don't waste your time. Have a conversation with him and make certain that you two are going to be equally yoked and you're going to be able to walk together in agreement. And I'll talk about the other components of that equally yoked and walk together in agreement in a moment. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. If you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill. And if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Our next segment is going to be brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. If you are currently in the market for one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com. You will have the opportunity to virtually build out the Porsche you desire to own. And if you're in our area, go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Didio, General Manager of PorscheDelaware.com. He will make certain that someone assist you in selecting the Porsche you desire to own. And if you currently own a Porsche and you're in our area, go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Adams, who is the service manager at PorscheDelaware.com. He will make certain that someone schedules an appointment for you, that your vehicle is picked up at your home or office, and they will provide you with a loaner vehicle until your vehicle is serviced and returned to you at your home or office. So I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you want to know, you asked me a question. Okay, so your question is, do you think people should marry for love? You know, I'm someone, and I'm going to tell you, I still prayed over this communication, and I will tell you this. I think that we all should love because God is love. But I believe men and women should marry because that is what God has commanded us to do. The problem is most of us don't like the word commanded. God commanded us to be fruitful, to multiply, and to replenish the earth. He said it's not good for man to be alone, and he gave us a woman so that we could be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. Now let me talk about that. Fruitful means there's two components. It leads into multiplying, but being fruitful also means being fruitful in our careers, being fruitful in our lives, bearing fruit. So, you know, there's the fruits of the Spirit that we bear, and then there's the tangible fruit that we bear. So it tells us to be fruitful, and then it tells us to multiply. We cannot multiply without, well, we can, but it's not going to be conducive for maximizing our success. We multiply because we marry, and then we have children. And when we have children, we replenish the earth until the coming of the Lord. So in other words, we bear children and they continue to replenish the earth. Our society is so messed up right now. And I got to tell you, this was God's will that we be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth until the coming of the Lord. So we're to have children, and those children will replenish the earth. It also gives us the opportunity to maximize the fullness of God, the legacy of God. So we love because God loved us first. We love because God is love, and because the love of God exists in us. And you love the person that you marry as your spouse, your husband or your wife. But I'm someone that likes to take the emotion of love out of the equation, meaning I'm not interested in just love being warm and fuzzy. I'm interested in love bearing fruit. You know, love should make you stronger. Love will make you, for a couple of reasons, because iron sharpens iron. You have two heads are better than one. And two is better than one. A twofold cord is stronger. A threefold cord cannot be broken. So now you have husband, wife, children. But we've got a lot of problems in our society, and the reality is that we're not living up to God's standards or up to his words. So we don't like the idea of being commanded to do anything. So we don't necessarily become fruitful in every area of our lives. Some don't multiply. We don't replenish the earth. We're not doing everything that we can do to build a better society. We're just living. And truth be told, just living means we're just existing. We need to have life and have it more abundantly. And the way that we do that is by following that script. Man should not be alone. Man marries woman. They produce child. They multiply and replenish the earth. So you got to be real careful about should people marry for love, because it's much bigger than that and it's much deeper than that. And we love because God loved us first. We love because the love of God is in us. And with that love, we can accomplish all of those things. We can be fruitful. We can multiply. We can replenish the earth. Because that's what we've been called to do. That's what's been appointed for us all. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Comcast Business. We all are in need of becoming more effective and efficient in business. To do that, Comcast gives us every opportunity. Contact Eunice at Comcast Business at 603-222-7706. Your code is Pastor Pope, and you will receive an $800 prepaid Visa gift card with a qualifying bundle. Contact Eunice at Comcast Business at 603-222-7706. Your code is Pastor Pope, and you will receive an $800 prepaid Visa gift card with a qualifying bundle. And this segment of the broadcast, I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. But this segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall, King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at the retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need. And The White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at the retail store. They have everything you could possibly need. Home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. Now, let me tell you this. If you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com and The White Company. You can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. Both companies will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you think that all men are either married, players, that's the word you used, or looking for men. You say this has prevented you from finding someone suitable for you. You said, what is a woman going to do when you are in competition for a very small segment of men? So it's very interesting that you said this, and I read some things in your communication. I was prayerful about this, but I got to tell you, what's really interesting is you really laid it out quite well, and I will tell you why. So you said men are either married, players or looking for men. Men have become lovers of men. Okay. So what you got is 25% of the men you believe are married, 25% of the men you believe are players, and 25% of the men you said are looking for men. That leaves 25% of the population, according to what you say in your communication. Here's the reality of that. The reality of that is that's not even true, and I'm going to tell you why that's not true. You've got 50%, you've got 60% of the men, approximately, who are married. You got approximately 60% of the men are married, which means that leaves you 20% to be players and 20% to be men looking for men. But that's not even true. So let's say you got approximately 60% of the men. You got to understand this, 25% of women today, particularly in one culture, are going to get married. 25% of them. In other cultures, it's higher. So I will tell you this. It is only in the African American community that 1 out of 4 women, 25% of the women are going to get married. Then you have a Latino culture, you have an Asian culture, you have a European culture. Those cultures, the rate is much higher. But 1 in 25% of African American women will be married. And part of the reason is because you do have a little over half the population that is married. Across the board. You do have some players thrown in there. But let me tell you what that looks like. So in reality, you have about 10% who are players. You got about 10% that are looking for men. And you got another 10% of men who are single and available, one-minded. That's 10%. So you got to think about that. Pardon me, I misspoke. You got 20%. You got 10% that are players. You got 10% that are men looking for men, and you got 20% who are men who are available. And you got 25% of one segment of the population that is going to get married. The other cultures are going to get married at a higher rate. The problem that you have, first and foremost, is it's not your job to look for them. It's your job to determine if they're suitable for you. And you're right. You say, what should you do? Compete. Because you are in competition. You're in competition with all the other women who are single, who really desire to be married. You're in competition with them. And what I mean by that is not that you have to go off the rails and do anything that's detrimental to society, but I'm talking about, the way we present ourselves, the way we speak, the way we treat others, our attitude, behavior, our courtesy, We have to take all of that into consideration. What are you doing? And this is for all of the women. And what I said today is for men too, to pay attention. What are you doing to present yourself well? That's what you have to do when you compete. And you are competing because there is truly a shortage of men available to marry. So you have to take that into consideration. But and as you take that into consideration, all you have to do is do your part to present yourself prepared to be someone's wife, Today's Daily Divine Direction 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Remember, we're in the midst of our May FijiWater.com sponsored promo. Go to WKAPFaith.com, and the first 3 songs you hear at 12 noon or 6 p.m., text them along with your name, email, address to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992